Video for sketching graphs from factored form. So first order of business is to find our zeros. So we have zeros there, there, and there that we have to solve for. So we'll have x is equal to 0. We'll have x minus 4 is equal to 0. And we'll have 3x plus 21 equal to 0. Actually, I'm going to move this so that it's all in one spot. So for this one, we're going to add 4 to both sides so that we know that we have a 0, 4. And for this one, subtract 21 on both sides and divide both by 3 to get a 0 of -7. Now we have to see what are the multiplicities. Well, for this one, you guys, this one has a power of 2, which means there's going to be 2 zeros of here, so multiplicity of 2. And you guys know when you have a multiplicity of 2 or even powers, there's going to be a bounce. For this 0, we have a degree of 2, so this is also going to be a multiplicity of 2 with a bounce. And for this one, you guys, since that factor has a degree of 1, there's only going to be 1 0 there. And you guys know, since there's 1 0, it's just going to cross there. Okay, so now we are going to find out what is the highest degree. Well, we have a power of 2 here. We got a power of 2 there. And we have a power of 1 from there. So we know the degree is going to be an odd, and we got a negative leading coefficient. So it's going to be negative odd, you guys. And negative odd goes up on the left-hand side and down on the right-hand side. Okay, now all that's left is to solve for the y-intercept, which is when x is equal to 0. So f of 0 equals -4, 0 to the second, times 0 minus 4 to the second, 3 times 0 plus 21. So we're going to get -4 times 0 to the second, or 0 squared, you guys. It's just 0, -4 to the second, times 21. But we know all of that's getting multiplied by 0, so all of this is just going to be 0. So our y-intercept is 0, 0. Now we have all that we need, so it's time to sketch. So it's always suggested you guys draw this out first before you actually approach it. So our end behavior is up, and then it's down, right? We have zeros at 0, 0, at 4, and at -7. So when we come to this -7, it's going to cross there, right? So we're just going to cross. Doesn't matter how high or how low we're going to go. So we're going to come and approach 0. So at 0, you guys, you know that there's a bounce at x is equal to 0. And the y-intercept 0, 0. So we're going to bounce off of there. And then at 4, you guys, there's also a bounce. And then it matches perfectly with what our end behavior it is. So that is what your image should look like. Now what I'm going to do, you guys, is show you on Delta Math how to do it. So I'm going to start from my left, and you got to drag it. You got to drag it with your mouse. So, okay, as you can see, I messed up. So it's going to cross at -7. It's going to bounce off of there at 0, and it's going to bounce off of 4. Something like that. You submit and oh, sorry, that was for the wrong graph. I did it. But this would have worked for what I showed before. I accidentally messed it up, you guys, and I should have actually put it for this one right here. But as you can see, you just drag it, -7, what was it? We go to 0, bounce, and then we go to 0 or 4, and we bounce. Let's see if it'll register that. Yep. Sorry for this other one, I goofed and I should have done it for that properly. But anyways, that's how you guys graph. You gotta just press on your mouse or your pad, your computer pad, and then you just gotta press down and drag it. All right. So now let's try this one. Okay, so zeros, right? X minus 1 equals 0. All our factors, right? 2x plus 12 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides, x is going to equal 1. -12 to both sides, 2x equals -12, divide both by 2, x is going to equal to -6 for that one, and x equals -2 for that one. Okay, for this one has a degree of 1, so that's just going to be a multiplicity of 1, 0 there, and it's going to cross there. For this one, degree of 1, right? This has a degree of 1, so does this one. So it's simply just going to cross for this one as well. And then for this one, you guys, degree of 2, that means it's a multiplicity of 2, which means it's going to bounce. Now let's count our degrees. We got a degree of 1, and a degree of 2. That means this is going to be a degree of 4. And the leading coefficient is a negative number. So it's going to be a negative even degree, which you guys, that is down, down. And lastly, for your guys' y-intercept, set x equal to 0 and we solve. So f of 0 equals -2, 0 minus 1, 2 times 0 plus 12, and 0 plus 2 to the second. So we're going to get -2 times -1 times 12 times 2 to the second, you guys, is 4. -2 times 1 times 12 times 4, that is 96. So our y-intercept is 0, 96. Alright, so we had a 0 at 1. We had a 0 at -6. And we had a 0 at -2. And we know the end behavior is down, and it's down. Alright, so this is where you would have to drag your mouse, right? So at -6, you guys, it is a cross, so we're going to cross. At -2, it is a bounce, so we're going to bounce. Now, remember, the y-intercept, which is where we're going to cross, is 0, -6, which is right around there. And then at x is equal to 1, you guys, it is a cross. So unfortunately, I cannot draw, but that is what your image is going to look like to some degree. All right, here. So find our zeros. X minus 1 equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. And 2x plus 2 is equal to 0. Add 1 to both sides, so x is equal to 1 there. Add 4 to both sides, x is going to equal to 4 there. Subtract 3 from both sides, and x is going to equal -3 there. And subtract 2, 2x equals -2, divide both by 2, x is equal to -1 there. So those are my zeros. Now let's look at their multiplicities. All three of these have a degree of 1, right? I'll write it for you guys so you see visually. These all have degrees of 1. So with degrees of 1s, you know that they just cross there. And for this degree of 2, you know that's a multiplicity of 2, which is a bounce. Now let's get the highest degree. So whenever it's in factor form, you add 1, all the factors degrees. So we're gonna get 5, and the leading coefficient, you guys, is positive. So we're gonna have a positive odd because 5 is odd, which is down and then up, down and then up. So let's begin. At -3, it is a cross, so we're going to cross. Oh, sorry, I did not solve for the y-intercept. So y-intercept, you guys, you set x is equal to 0. 0 minus 1, 0 minus 4 squared, 0 plus 3, and 2 times 0 plus 2. This is -1. -4 to the second power, you guys, is a positive 16. That's just the 3. And that's going to be 0 plus 2 for just a 2. So 16 times -1 times 16 times 3 times 2. I believe that is also -96. So our y-intercept 0, -96. Alright, so again, at -3 we know to cross. At x is equal to -1, we know it's a cross. And then we go down to the y-intercept, which is 0, -96. At 1, it is a cross. And at x equals to 4, it is a bounce. And that is what your guys' sketch would look like. If you guys have odd degrees, remember, besides degree of 1, if it's 3, power 5, 4, 7, 9, etc., remember you slide. Even powers, you bounce. And degree of 1 powers, you cross. Okay, that should help you guys, and again, hopefully this helps.